Well, and some people, they will view this as probably one of the best Daytona 500s, or some people, well, most of them, and most of them, will see it as one of the worst. And most people will view the decision of waiving the caution as one of the dumbest things, the final straw. While some are just here to do a review as it happens. So, this is going to be a thing that I'll be doing for the entire 2015 season, except for a couple races during June and July. I will be doing NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race reviews, race by race, give you my thoughts, analysis, or anything you might have missed. Because I pretty much took, how many pages I took? I took 8 pages of notes of this Daytona 500 from the start to the race finish to the final results, and then any thoughts. Since given that a lot of people from the XBRL League and NORC, mainly the XBRL League, are busy, it's just going to be Rain and I covering the Daytona 500 from start to finish. So, yeah, in case if you missed it, Joey Logano won the Daytona 500, giving Roger Penske his second,
And
along with Ryan Newman won the first one back in 2008. So, as a guy that I
Joey
know,
Logano won.
as a guy that doesn't
Joey Logano.
really like a Penske driver, or here's the thing, you're looking at a guy that cannot stand the Penske drivers, except for the IndyCar guys. However, I'll give you my thoughts, because here's the top 5 finishing results of the 2015 Daytona 500. Joey Logano won the race, Kevin Harvick is second, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is third, Denny Hamlin in fourth, and Jimmy Johnson finishes in fifth. Jeff Gordon finishes 33rd in his final Daytona 500 start. It does so appear that he will not get a DNF. I would assume he finished it, but then again, Fox did not cover it. So we'll see.
If you want to, Otto, you want to bring up what, and
no.
Otto, if you want to bring up what's been going on.
No.
You want to bring up what's going on?
I'm not talking about
Austin Dillon.
I'm not talking about it. If
yeah.
I'm talking about it right now.
Well, Otto muted his mic. I guess I'll tell everyone what's going on. After the race, there was this whole big fight that's going on Twitter right now, and we got over like hundreds of thousands of people sending Austin Dillon death threats and stuff. I'm reading my Twitter right now. I'm on Twitter looking at this. There's people sending Austin Dillon death threats. There's people telling Richard Childress, go die. I'm reading Twitter, and there's a lot of messages. Die, Dillon, die. Senior would be disappointed. Senior would be disappointed. Fuck you, Dillon. Fuck you, Austin. Fuck you, Austin. The 3 should never be with you. I'm just flabbergasted at how many tweets are going at Austin Dillon, and all of these are at Austin Dillon's Twitter handle. It's not just somebody tweeting out the words Austin Dillon. They're tweeting this to Austin Dillon. They're tweeting death threats to Austin Dillon, all because he wrecked Gordon on the final lap of the 500. That's all I have to say about that. I'm not going to say any more about this. This is just pathetic. I mean, I'm not the biggest Austin Dillon fan. I don't think he needs to be in the 3, but you're sending death threats to a guy over something that happened at the end of a NASCAR race. I don't care if it's Gordon, people. Yes, Jeff Gordon's the most popular guy in NASCAR. Austin Dillon may not be deserving to drive the 3, in my opinion. But it does not mean send death threats to a guy on Twitter. Grow up.
Now talking about it, so let's move on. Let's move on with the start of the race. Because, well, basically, here's what I got. 11 cars went to the rear of the field, including Regan Smith and Matt Crafton, who's finally making his elusive Cup debut. I'll be bringing up Matt Crafton and Regan Smith where they are at certain points of the race, because these are significant drivers when it pertains to who they replaced. Regan Smith replaced Kurt. Matt Crafton replaced Kyle. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully Kyle is okay.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go make me something to eat. Continue.
All right. Hope Kyle is okay. Seems like the surgery went successful, but we still really have no idea how long he'll be out. There's rumors that he'll be out for 5 to 6 months. Nobody knows who's going to be driving the 18 in Atlanta, or even the 41 for that matter. So let's get on to the Daytona 500 and the opening laps. So pretty much 11 cars went to the rear of the field. The track temperatures was 100 degrees, which was in the duels, it was like 48-something degrees. Track surface, not the overall condition. So it was a warm track. than they had been accustomed to this entire speed weeks. It was sunny with partly cloud conditions, so it pretty much was sunny. So I knew right away there was not going to be any rain. It was not going to end at night, depending on how many red flags will there be, and also if the big one happened. So Jeff Gordon started on the pole. Jimmy Johnson is second. Second, as Kim Lopez, which should be noted, the longtime Camping World Truck Series flag woman, the chief flag official, the first female and Hispanic to do so, waved the green flag. Well, Abby Wambach from the United States soccer team waved the green flag for the start of the race. And just like Jeff Gordon did in 1993, where he led his first ever career lap, he led the opening lap. So it was good for Gordon. But then Super Cena came along. Well, by the way, I will not be covering Fastlane. I will not give you my thoughts on Fastlane. Fuck it. Jimmy Johnson led a good portion of the first green flag run, and then it's run down the second half of the opening green flag laps. Gordon took the lead. Johnson all of a sudden was starting losing spots, and then on lap number 18, Landon Castle blew his engine. There was a little bit of fire, but he stopped the car for the most part and was sent to the hook.
I just got back, and we're at the part of the first caution.
Yep. Gordon was the leader.
Yeah.
Logano came out second afterwards.
Landon Castle, I felt bad for him when he blew his engine. Here's a guy that is one of the most underrated guys in NASCAR. I mean, people bring up Auto Club and Talladega last year, and that's good, but he's also had other good races too, and I would love to see him be a contender in this 500. Unfortunately, you know, he's with the underfunded team, and the engine blew at the beginning, and that sucks for him. I hope that he gets a ride somewhere else. The team he's with right now is not going to get him anywhere. I'm sorry. And overall, I felt really bad for him when his engine blew.
All right, Landon Castle will end up finishing dead last. Therefore, from Brock Beer's last car, he will be the last car winner, the first win of the year. And if I recollect, let me double check how many this is. I think this is the second or fourth time of his career Landon Castle finished last. Because he's the first one to finish last in the Daytona 500, joining an elite club of Bobby Allison, Ryan Newman, Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, Kenny Wallace, I think Martin Truex Jr. Who else was there? But yes, Landon Castle, all time 40 as far as finishing in last place. I don't think he's had that many. Let me see. Landon Castle. I don't think he's finished that many times in last place, if I recall. Landon Castle. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let me see. Landon Castle. This will be Landon Castle's sixth career last place finish. He'll jump in 19th, joining Neil Bonnet, Dick Brooks, Wally Donovan, Dean Dalton, Bobby Hamilton, Denny Hamlin, Dale Jarrett, Trasquapo, Cuckoo Marlin, John McFadden, David Pearson, Larry Pearson, Lee Petty, Tom Pistone, Blackie Pitt, Bob Schock, Wayne Smith, Jimmy Spencer, Tony Stewart, Curtis Turner, DK Ulrich, Bobby Womack, and Bob Welber with 6 last place finishes after today. Tough break for Landon Castle. So, the guys came into the pits. Jeff Gordon exited out. Logano came in second. However, Logano's teammate Brad Keselowski and Sam Horner Jr. had pit problems. It did appear that Keselowski had hood damage, and they had tape on the side, which I'm not sure if that was tape. Pretty much it was. So, I'm not sure what happened with Keselowski down there, but Horner also had some pit problems. So, the race restarted around...
Wait. What about Keselowski getting tape on the side? Truex Jr. slowed up on pit road, and Keselowski hit the corner panel of his car, damaged the front bumper a little bit. That's what happened to Keselowski. He hit Truex on pit road.
I think that might have been after, but he had pit problems. But I swear he had pit problems before the Truex thing, and I'm sure if I covered it in my notes, but. See, after the restart around lap 24, the pack seemed to hang on quite a bit. There was a couple of guys like Matt Crafton, Bobby Labonte, those guys were hanging around in the back. at this point in the age of the restrictor place, running at the back is not going to help you that much. Look at Gordon last fall, or other examples recently. You ride on the back the entire time, you're not going to get there. It's not been proven that good. It's not what it once was. So, and then they talked about if Jeff Gordon would have won the Daytona 500, he would have joined Bobby Allison as the only drivers to win the Daytona 500 in their final start. However, I should note this: it for Bobby Allison, it turned out to be his final Daytona 500. Literally, we knew that his career was going to be over at Pocono with a horrific wreck with Giacomo later in the year. So, yes, it was his last start, but it was not his official. I think he would have still probably driven in Cup another 3 or 4 years. He was still practically competitive.
One of the greatest 500 finishers of all time, Bobby versus Davey. And everybody felt bad when Davey didn't win, but he eventually won in '92.
Neil Bonnet finished third. Phil, Mike. Fourth was Phil Parsons. And I will let you know right now when I'm speaking. I'm mute there. Thank you, because I think that's why the echoes happen. But then on lap 29, Regan Smith was in 17th. That they talked about he and his wife Megan is expecting their first child at any moment. So he's going to be a father soon. Michael Waltrip, side note, he was running in 15th. But for most of the first 30 laps, it was pretty much Hendrick 1, 2. And little that I knew that Dale Earnhardt Jr. I kind of knew, but not really, that he's a lefty. Why I say he's a lefty? Because I'm a lefty, but that's just a side note. Then Crafton was in the back along with Clint Boyer. I'll be talking more about Clint Boyer, especially in the closing laps, how he almost fucked up everybody, but he somehow saved it. So Boyer was in 37, Crafton 38. And then Fox brought up that he was Kyle Busch's groomsman and his bride was when his wedding was Samantha several years back. And then Larry McReynolds said, he's had a lot of experience in trucks. Well, then again, Matt Crafton has driven the truck since 2002. Practically been driving the number 88 for almost his entire career, except for one season with Kevin Harvick in 04.
How come? My question to you is, if Crafton's been racing trucks that long, how come they never brought him up back then? The Sprint Cup.
I want to say loyalty, because keep in mind, he's just recently won his championship. Because you're going to talk about a time when you had Mike Skinner, Todd Bodine, Johnny Benson, Ted Musgrave, Ron Hornaday. You had all the veterans who pretty much struggled for the most part in their entire Cup careers, come back to trucks, brought a little resurgence for them, and there wasn't that many young guns, except for like Marcus Ambrose, Cole Witt, and then a couple will only drive for 1 year. And then when all those young guns started to move up to the Xfinity Series, we started to see a young gun movement. And still, you have Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter beat him. Consistency and longevity has really helped them. I'm not sure why, but I digress. The economy may be something to do with it, but who knows? But then again, I think Crafton is just practically a mainstay, but he has tested Gibbs cars for a number of years.
After that, okay, continuing on. After that, we had a little bit of a green flag run. Then the next caution comes out.
Oh, we're not.
This is the one I kind of wanted to touch on. If there's anyone at Daytona that I feel so bad for that hasn't won the 500 yet, it's Tony Stewart. This is the guy that's won everything at Daytona. I would have loved for him to win today, but again, bad luck.
Before it happened, Mike Joy points out that Gordon was close to leading 25,000 laps, which he is 6th all-time. Not sure if he met it. I don't think he did. It wouldn't surprise me if he actually did, but anyways, after 40 laps, 100 miles through, it was Jeff Gordon leading, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Joey Logano, Carl Edwards, and Jimmy Johnson. There were 6 lead changes among 5 drivers. And then Ryan Blaney clipped Tony Stewart. He hit the wall hard enough that it broke suspension. Then Michael Waltrip hit Matt Kenseth to bring out the second caution in turn number 4. What it looked like is Tony Stewart went up, he got loose, then Blaney had pretty much nowhere to go and kind of hit him in the wrong place, wrong time. So Tony Stewart will be 0 for 17 in the Daytona 500. Next year it will be his 18th. And history has proven that drivers has won under 18. Only 2 drivers have won past 17 starts. It's Buddy Baker with 18, Tony Dale Earnhardt with 20. Jamie McMurray, I will point this out, he barely escaped the wreck. Regan Smith went full throttle to make it through after, in the same
Well,
sport, he flipped over yesterday.
what were the drivers? Your mic cut out. 18 was Buddy Baker. 19, I believe, was Darrell Waltrip, and you said 20
No,
was.
no, Darrell was 17, Buddy Baker was 18, Earnhardt 20. Nobody has won past 20. Rusty Wallace went through, I think, 23
Martin.
500s. Mark Martin, 26.
Martin came really close in 07.
Yeah, but even many people thought they should have not waived the caution, or they should have waived the caution once the wreck happened. But they were clearly out of. They were. I would understand why they didn't waive the caution. They were clearly in almost at the start-finish line. So
They were right there at the finish line, and NASCAR's like, well, Harvick and Martin are racing. They can't slow down in time. Let's just have a race to the line. And I actually do applaud NASCAR for doing that, unlike what they did today at the end of the race. We'll get to that in a little bit. Continue on.
So it appeared Kenseth had very minimal damage, pretty much hurt him the rest of the way. I was that disappointed for Kenseth that thing pretty much got him out of contention from winning the Daytona. Remember, he had a strong showing at Speed Week. Once again, those Gibbs cars show up at Speed Weeks, comes up short of winning it. And if I recollect, no, never mind. Joe Gibbs has won at Daytona with Dale Jarrett in '93. I think that's the only one. They've been close many times, but still no cigar since '93. Stewart had right front fender damage. I saw that at first he was going to be okay. Then Keselowski, he had a bump. He had some sort of bump in the fender, which the tape happened, trying to avoid the wreck. So that's what happened. Then pit stops happened on lap number 43. Dale Earnhardt Jr. along with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's see. Dale Earnhardt Jr. went with 4 tires. Jeff Gordon went with 4 tires and came out first. But however, Gordon mentioned that he had a tight race car. Joey Logano and Jamie McMurray gained 3 spots. Carl Edwards was the biggest loser on pit road. He lost 5. Ryan Blaney's car was still being repaired, while the green flag came out on lap number 45 with Gordon and Logano the top 2. Tony Stewart had steering damage. Kenseth said the suspension okay, but the suspension is fine according to Jamie Little once he left pit road. But then Kenseth lost the lap, and by that point Tony Stewart was 2 laps down. Then Joey Logano took the lead from Gordon. Then on the 49th lap, his 17th attempt at winning the 500 ended for Tony Stewart. And here's a noted fact from last year. Tony Stewart's best finish on the plate tracks a year ago, 34th. Not good. Logano led the 50th lap, so after 50 laps, it was Logano, Gordon, Johnson, Jr., Hamlin. This is a weird thing. At 24 years old, this is Joey Logano's 7th season in NASCAR. He has been there for quite a while now. Given these days that it's usually an average Cup season is about 7 to 8 years, depending how good you are. Anyways, Kenseth now went 2 laps down. Gordon regained the lead on the 51st lap. He had a lot of momentum from Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he gave him a bump. Then we found out Ryan Blaney had suspension damage in the steering column, but he was still on the lead lap. More on Blaney later in the race. I also pointed out Greg Biffle was hanging in there in 4th place. Martin Truex Jr. having a really good run. He's had a really good car in Speed Weeks after 54 laps. Then this one, there was the long green flag run. They were trying to go single file, mostly 2 wide at the back of the lead draft. But Johnson, from leading the race early in the going, now dropped to 18th because he was having a loose race car after restarting 4th. Johnson at that point has led 12 laps. Biffle, by 2 laps later, took 2nd place. And then they brought up Gordon has taken the lead 4 times for 36 laps before they went to break. Ty Dillon, at this point, was the highest rookie among the who were making the first Daytona 500s in 8th. Casey King cracked the top 10.
I found it funny that Ty Dillon was actually in the top 5. I mean, I was not expecting that. Ty Dillon was in the top 5 the second half of the race.
I still personally believe Ty Dillon's the better of the 2. We'll see what happens when he moves up the Cup.
I feel bad for Austin right now. Continue on.
I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, lap 62. Kevin Harvick was in 13th, Kyle Larson 27th, but they were rather content running at the back, and Boyer was struggling in 30th place after 62 laps. Then they talked about the wind. It was very strong. That could have been a factor. They somewhat assumed they wanted to assume that probably why Tony Stewart got loose and
And
brought the pile up with him and Blaney and Kenseth.
And I want to bring this up. This is the only time in the Daytona 500 they actually brought Danica Patrick. When was there another time during this race they brought Danica besides the win?
Danica Patrick has not been brought up. That's a good note. I did not. I don't think I put many notes on Danica at all for the most part.
She was only brought up. She was only brought up about the win. That was it.
Anyways, the last 2 days has also been a factor at that point. At that point, the winds was 10 miles an hour towards southeast. Then Ty Dillon gained 2 more spots, but he sought, because this was his first Daytona 500, I think it's his third or fourth Cup start overall. He reported that he thought he was having a bad vibration and thought the engine was going to blow up, but later on he found out it wasn't that. I think it's like the jitters of running the Daytona 500 that led him to that assumption. Anyways, on lap 71, Kenseth went 3 laps down, so at that point I said he was not going to win his third Daytona 500. Gordon at that point has led 50 laps, and the most laps he led prior to the day was 61 in 1995. Gordon finished 22nd, first car 1 lap down. Sterling Marlin won back-to-back Daytona 500s, beating Dale Earnhardt in the process. And I think if I recall, Joe Nemechek finished last in that race, or John Andretti, I'm not sure.
A lot of people are saying if Gordon wasn't going to win, Junior was going to do a Sterling Marlin, but that didn't happen. Continue on.
It's fucking conspiracy. Anyways, I did point it out on lap 78. Mike Wallace was fucking slow for the most part. He lost the draft relatively quick. He fell 1 lap down on the 78th lap. Then after 200 miles, it was Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, and Casey Kane. Mark Truex Jr. in 6th, Ty Dillon in 7th, Brad Keselowski 8th, Joey Logano 9th, Kevin Harvick in 10th, and at this point it was generally single file racing. Then Harvick went by Logano just before green flags were about to begin. Larry McReynolds pointed out it was about 4 more laps, 4 to 5 laps before they had to pit. Then Michael Waltrip lost a lap on the 82nd lap and went to the pits on the 84th lap.
By the way, I figured I'd bring this up to you. Did you see the Aflac portion of the race where they had that Aflac sponsorship? What the heck was that all? What the heck was that? Like, they had Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds turn their backs to the camera and start whispering to each other, start talking about pit strategy. What was that?
No, they said they were needed to go to commercial break, but they will allow Aflac, and I was thinking they were still commentating.
It was supposed to be some sort of sponsorship from Aflac, but it was just so confusing. It's like, are they talking? What are they trying to do? Are they talking about fuel strategy? Because that's what it sounded like they were talking about. But Aflac needs to get something together because that was just weird.
Anyways, after that little segment, the top 8 was starting to split away from Harvick and Logano, as those 2 were falling into the second pack, but the third pack was huge. I think there was like 17 or 18 cars still battling like it was like 10 to go. And then green flag pit stops began. Justin Allgaier, J.J. Yaley, Michael Annett, Ryan Blaney, Reed Sorensen, David Reagan, David Gilliland, Colt Witt, and Johnny Sauter pitted on lap 86. Afterwards, it was Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr., Keselowski, Harvick, I believe Ty Dillon. I put Dillon on there. I didn't put which one. I think it was Ty Dillon. Then Mark Truex Jr. had to slow down a lot. Jimmy Johnson, Ricky Stenhouse, and among others did pit. And that lap on the 87, Carl Edwards and Denny Hamlin stayed out of the pits. Larson appeared to come out first, but then Gordon, Casey Kane, Dale Jr. afterwards. And because of that bad pit stop, bad entrance, he lost a lot of spots. Truex did. So we thought it's like, is it ever going to go his way? Then afterwards, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Glenn Bohr went to the pits along with Ryan Newman. Both the Gibbs cars of Edwards and Hamlin were tied. Matt Crafton also went, but however, he did stall it for about 2 or 3 seconds, and he came out of the pit, so that cost him quite a little bit. And then I saw Kyle Larson went to the pits again. I was like, what the heck? He went out before Gordon. I wasn't sure.
He broke his shift. Kyle Larson broke the shift in this car.
I'll mention it later on as far as what else happens. Then Jimmy Johnson was penalized because he had too many men on the wall before he actually made a stop on the 88th lap. So at that point, we thought it was going to be costly. For me, as an anti-Johnson fan, I was rather content, but not really.
When they got to that point and they had Shaq and Alf come on, when they played what Shaq and Alf said on the radio, I had to laugh a little bit because Shaq was like, NASCAR, why don't you tell us what we did wrong? What did we do wrong? Can you politely tell us what we did wrong, and we'll make sure not to do it again? Did you hear that radio call that Chad did?
I'm getting there. I'm going lap by lap by lap. You're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but yes, I get onto it. Anyways, Edwards had the pit again too. Among 5 drivers were penalized, including Bobby Labonte. Jeff Gordon, after the cycle pit stops, took the lead. Kyle Larson was too fast exiting. Casey Kane, Brad Keselowski, along with Jamie McMurray, nearly ran into Truex's slow car because he was trying to get in the pits, but he was just bad timing for Truex in this moment. So Larson went to the pits again, and I swore he did pit with the front pack, but who really knows? But then again, the car, he was having problems going in. Anyways, after 90 laps, Jeff Gordon leads Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ty Dillon, and Paul Menard cracked in the top 5. Then Denny Hamlin and Clint Bowyer were outside the top 5, but they were in the main pack, so there were 7 cars in the lead draft. But once again, they remained single file. The second pack, which was led by Jimmy McMurray, eventually caught up with him, and then it became a 13-car draft after 95 laps. And then Andy Petrie, who's now on the Fox team, explained the 36th place car, Jimmy Johnson, that he's like the rule expert. Everybody went to the pit. A couple guys went to the pits too soon before he stopped. And then Michael Annett, who was leading the second pack in 14th place, was 10 seconds behind Jeff Gordon. That's how spread out the front pack was. And then the dumbest thing you ever do in broadcasting is not show the fucking halfway point. Dumb. Failed it times 395. Failed it. You never go to commercial.
How many?
Not show halfway.
How many commercial breaks? How many commercial breaks did they have during this Daytona 500? I lost count.
I did not count. I did not count commercials in any of this point. Anyways, Jeff Gordon led halfway, so the assumption is he going to break the long streak when it pertains to that? Here's the thing: the last driver to win the Daytona 500 for the pole, Dale Jarrett, 2000. Last driver to win the 500 after leading halfway, Davey Allison, 1992. Anyways, at this point, Jeff Gordon led 77 of the first 100 laps, and then when they went back to break, it's still dumb that they went during halfway. Even if Jimmy Johnson was leading halfway, I would have found it dumb. And even if Brad Keselowski or Cole Webb led, I would have found it dumb. So there's my clear assumption. After 103 laps, Gordon hit 80 laps led. He would eventually lead 7 more laps for a total of 87. Anyways, the top 25 positions after the halfway mark. Jeff Gordon led Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 3rd, Ty Dillon 4th, Paul Menard 5th, Denny Hamlin 6th, Clint Bowyer 7th, Jimmy McMurray 8th, Joey Logano 9th, Kevin Harvick 10th, Michael McDowell was at 11th, Brad Keselowski 12th, Ray Biffle 13th, Austin Dillon 14th, Danica Patrick 15th, Kurt Busch 16th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 17th, David Gilliland 18th, AJ Allmendinger 19th, Michael Annett 20th, David Reagan is 21st. Hold on, it's just like JJ Yeley 22nd, Eric Almirola 23rd, 35th Cole Witt 24th. 23rd, Eric Almirola, 24th, Cole Witt, 25th, Justin Allgaier. Reed Sorensen lost a lap. He was at 36th. Johnson was 35th. So, therefore, there were 35 cars on the lead lap. Thoughts about the first half of the race, man? I'll let you talk for about 5 minutes.
First half of the race, Gordon dominated. Kind of had a feeling it was going to happen. 87 laps. I had a feeling like, okay, they're gonna let Gordon get his fair share. They're gonna let Gordon lead a lot of the laps at the beginning. Then when the second half starts up, when the race gets closer to the end, that's when everyone's gonna pick up pace, which they eventually did. First half, I'll give it an A. I ain't gonna give it an A plus because of a couple of things. One, Castle blowing his engine, which sucked. Tony Stewart getting wrecked and being 0 for 17. That takes a point off. And the problems with Larson, Sniper, aka Paul Menard, running in the top five. That was a big surprise. I was not expecting Paul Menard to be up there. I guess he is the real life Sniper. I mean, he's the guy. He's the underdog, and I see why Sniper races his car. But continuing to get back on point. Uh, Good run for Gordon first half. Good run for Junior. Junior had a really fast car tonight. It's just most of the time he was pushed. He was behind Gordon most of the time. Junior did lead a couple of laps, but he was mostly behind Gordon for the first half. And props to Gordon for leading the first 100 laps most of the first half. And yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I feel bad for Larson. I feel bad for Sorensen. I really feel bad for Tony Stewart.
Any more things you have to say? I'm looking up as far as drivers who have won at halfway. I remember there's a
So
couple of them that did. Anyways, so this is, I think, the second time that Gordon led at halfway. Because I know Jeff Gordon led at halfway in 1998 when it was pretty much green for the first 122 laps till Warburton caught a tire. So let me see. Junior Johnson won it. Buddy Baker did it. Richard Petty did it. Mario Andretti did it as well. I think Bill Elliott twice. Go watch the 1998 Daytona 500. Watch that halfway to get all the drivers that has won. Because the last time the driver won at halfway, 1992. So there. You want to figure out who has won at halfway? Go watch the 98 Daytona 500. Right around the halfway point, Mike Joy lists up the guys who has won the 500 who led the halfway point. Then 5 laps later, the third caution came out for debris. Of course, debris. You know what this means when there's a debris yellow. There's always somehow, some way, Jeff Gordon's going to get screwed. Jimmy Johnson's going to find a way to win. In most cases. Not really, but that's my dumb assumption. Typical debris yellow. The first of probably 300 of them. At this point, Ty Dillon was still the highest rookie in the race. Yes, I know he's not an official Cup rookie, and right now Jeb Burton is the only official Cup rookie. We're talking about Daytona 500 rookies, which is Ty Dillon, Ryan Blaney, and Matt Crafton. Bowman made it. The only other ones that would have made their 500 debut would have been Justin Marks and Jeb Burton, but both of them did fail to qualify. I'm not sure how the fuck Jeff Burton will do. We'll have to wait in Atlanta if he makes the field. Anyways, Dale Earnhardt Jr. went for 2 tires. However, he did stall in the pits. Same. Jeff Gordon did win for 2 as well. He exited off first. Casey Mears, without any tires, gained 23 spots. Logano gained 5. Kyle Larson, Regan Smith, and Ryan Blaney were still in the pits fixing their cars. I'm going to assume Regan Smith did have some minor damage of some sort regarding the Kenseth, Blaney, Waltrip, Stewart incident. Who knows? Anyways, the top 4 was Gordon, Hamlin, Mears, Logano after the 108th lap. Then shortly thereafter, Casey Mears decided to win for tires. At one point during the race, I saw it in the NASCAR timing and scoring, AJ Allmendinger and Michael Annett did stay out. So Allmendinger did let a lap in the Great American Race. It's only a lap. At this point, the Fox graphics showed the top 3 leaders, which were Jeff Gordon 84, Johnson 12, Logano 6, with 92 laps to go. Then, once the restart came along, It was Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And then at this point, according to Sprint, the fastest lap of the race was Greg Biffle on the 93rd lap. 44.592 seconds, 201.830 miles an hour at this point of the race.
How the heck did that guy get the fastest lap? Boggles my mind. I still don't understand how he got the fastest lap. I mean, no offense to Greg, but everyone called him the old guard of NASCAR, seeing that he's 45. And
come on,
I was really surprised he got the fastest lap.
All right, then this is when they brought up Chad Canals complaining and trying to find answers. It's like, what did they do wrong? It's a typical Jimmy Johnson Chad Canals story, so I really didn't took it as an account for. And it should be noted that Casey Mears, speaking of Casey Mears and Booty Barker apparently are the second longest tenured driver crew chief combination in NASCAR. Of course, Jimmy and Chad has been here since 2002. Yeah. Because I don't know who was his crew chief in 2001. Because I know Canals was Stacey Compton's crew chief in 2001. He won where Compton won a pole at Talladega. Anyways, there were more pit stop penalties, which was the common theme of the race as well. Justin Allgaier for tires, Kyle Larson for equipment, and Eric Almirola had too many men, so they had to start at the back. So when 90 laps ago, I was thinking business was about to pick up because it's less than halfway. We're past halfway. I'm thinking we're going to start seeing wrecks. We're going to start seeing a lot of bold maneuvers. So Jeff Gordon decided to go to the outside lane and pretty much to get drafting help from his teammate and shopmate, Casey Kane. So it was the second race in the row that Jeff Gordon was the dominant car going back to Homestead. In fact, this is the third race out of the last four that Gordon has been the dominant car. Why do you not bring back that one race? You know that one race that I do not like talking about.
The Chris Benoit 400, I believe is what you call it.
Yep, I will never go back and watch that race ever again. I'm referring to. Hold on. Yes. Talking about the third to last race of the year. The third to last race of the year. The race before Phoenix.
I can imagine Emerson's watching this, and all of a sudden he sends you a message on Facebook or Twitter, and it's a clip of Texas.
Move on. Denny Hamlin tried to take the lead and successfully does it with 88 laps to go, so Denny Hamlin was now at the front. That's when they brought up Casey Mears and Booty Barker's crew chief combination, which is the second longest. That should tell you a lot, too, by the way. Because we're in an era, well, then again, on average, driver crew chief combinations don't really last that long. Unless if you're the Petties, the Woods, or Earnhardt and Shelmerdine. Whatever it might be. Keep in mind, after Dale Earnhardt, after Kurt Shelmerdine decided to pursue a racing career, he had Andy Petrie as a crew chief, he had Larry McReynolds as a crew chief, and then he had Kevin Hamlin. I'm not sure, I'm trying to remember who was his crew chief after Petrie. I can't recall who it was. It's not McReynolds because McReynolds joined in 97. Then they did a pit crew swap with he and Mike Skinner, so Kevin Hamlin became Earnhardt's crew chief in the last few years. But then on lap number 113, Joey Logano took the lead again. The pack was getting bigger and bigger and competitive. Dale Earnhardt tried to get by on the backstretch. It was an aggressive block by Logano. Didn't really work in his part because Clint Boyer reached the top three. Gordon dropped to 7. Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the lead on the 114th lap. Crowd went crazy and controlled the pack. Austin Dillon in his third car of the Speedweeks. Danica Patrick had 3 or 4. It's arguable, but most say it was her 4th car. So basically, the car he was driving was the car he won the pole last year, and he was running in 3rd. Kevin Harvick was in 2nd while all this was happening. Then McMurray was battling a loose car. One of the few guys that actually took 4 tires on the last pit stop because most of them went with 2, unless you're Casey Mears, went with fuel. Then after 300 miles, 120 laps had been completed. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, Jeff Gordon, Martin Truex Jr., Clint Boyer, Brian Keselowski, Casey Kane, and Sam Hornish Jr. 37 cars were on the lead lap. Tony Stewart and Larkin Castle were out of the race at this point. Or so we thought. Wait till you hear who was out afterwards. Anyways, the inside line, it seemed like, was the preferred line. Everybody had a hard time trying to make a pass for the lead on the outside unless you're Joey Logano. Gordon was now at 9, and it seemed like, once again, it's one of those typical Jeff Gordon races that he does good in clean air, not so much in dirty air. It's usually the common theme throughout his entire career for the most part. Anyways, top 5 was starting to pull away quite a bit, and then it was like a 27-car pack that was just separating apart. And at this point, there were 15 lead changes. 9 drivers had led at this point. And then Crafton, they talked about Crafton that, and also it should be noted, Rain, this is a quick question before I let you talk a little bit more and give yourself after 300 miles. Did you notice that they not changed Kyle Busch's windshield? It still said Kyle Busch on the windshield.
Yeah, I noticed that even before the race, and I know we're at this point of the race, but I just thought about this now. Did you watch the pre-driver ceremony at Matt Kraft? Johnny Sauter did not come out for the pre-driver ceremony. They were introducing all the drivers, and Johnny Sauter, I believe it was Sauter. Well, Crafton came out. I think it was Johnny Sauter. They announced him, and he did not come out with Matt Kenseth. Did you notice that?
I did not saw the pre-race. I was still asleep. I basically woke up just before pre-race ceremonies. So I have no idea about the pre-show. I mean, the pre-race show. Fucking Fastlane is in my damn system. I'm still contemplating watching it, but I'm probably not.
Fastlane's in about an hour and a half, by the way.
Fuck a Fastlane. Daytona 500. I will give you my thoughts of what I think about this Daytona 500. It may surprise you, and it may be not well received for the most part. But I guess he went to the rear of the field, because if you do not show up at driver's meeting, you get sent to the back, according to NASCAR rule books. And then they were talking about, the Fox commentators were talking about, mainly Larry McGrills were saying that they could make it. They could possibly make it with one more pit stop, but most likely they were going to need 2 more. Then, after 128 laps, Jimmy Johnson went from the back to right near the top, cracked the top 10. He was in 9th place by that point. And then I think this is the only note I mentioned about Danica Patrick. He was pretty much had a quiet race, running in 19th. It was her 4th car that was driven by Kurt Busch. This was a car that was driven by Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman. This car is old when you consider that Ryan Newman drove it. In fact, Ryan Newman is still looking for his first win since the Brickyard 400 in 2013, by the way, in case you were wondering. Then Dale Earnhardt Jr. surpassed Jimmy Johnson for the second most laps today of the 500. At this point, he led 20. At that point, after 135 laps, he led 20. Jeff Gordon was not having a good run. At this point. He was outside the top 10. Dirty air was a huge factor. And I said to myself, he needs some help, a lot of help, or some wise strategy to help him out to win this race. And then they brought up, if Dale Earnhardt Jr. were to win the Daytona 500, it would be the 50th overall win by an Earnhardt. Dale had 34, Jr. had 15, counting the Budweiser duel that he won on Thursday. Still looking for that 50th win going into July. Then, Sam Horse Jr. actually was doing really good. He was running a 137 laps completed at this point. He was doing really good for his return. I'm one of the huge Sam Horse Jr. supporters you could probably find after
Sam
what happened
Horns
in 2013.
Sam Horns was doing so good, and then...
Wait till we get there. Then Tony Stewart, for one lap, decided to return to the track and finish just 42nd. So the last 2 races, Tony Stewart has finished 42nd or worse. He finished dead last at Homestead, his 6th of his career, 42nd at Daytona. So going into Atlanta, he has to finish in the top 40. He's only scored 3 points the last 2 races. 3 points the last 2 races, counting back last year. However, it should be noted that Tony Stewart did finish last in the 2002 Daytona 500, only running 3 laps, if I recall. Won the championship later in the year after. 2002 was an interesting battle. I know it's kind of off topic, but it's nostalgia. Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Sterling Marlin, all were championship contenders for much of 2002. Stewart kind of came in late in the year, but it was mostly Sterling Marlin and Mark Martin. Then Marlin was kind of struggling and falling apart, and that led to his career-altering wreck that ended his season at Kansas. Stewart needs to step it up at Atlanta. He is not finished in the top 4. He cannot finish outside the top 40 again. He cannot at all. Anyways, there was 18 cars on the lead pack from Dale Earnhardt Jr. to Michael McDowell. Carl Edwards was in 15th. At this point, Kyle Larson was 1 lap down, 37. Therefore, there was 36 cars on the lead lap. And once again, we were riding around of another set of green flag pit stops after 350 miles. And then the fastest lap of the Daytona 500 belonged to Carl Edwards on the 133rd lap. 44.399 seconds, 202.707 miles an hour. The closest one to him was Ricky Stenhouse. Thoughts about that? That Carl Edwards had the fastest lap of the 500.
That's a pretty fast Toyota he's got there, and I see him having a lot of luck at Atlanta next week. He did okay tonight, I'll say that.
Gibbs cars are going to be strong at Atlanta, I guarantee you. They're going to be strong at Atlanta. However, it should be noted, if I remember, it is a day race, not a night race, so anything can change. I think Edwards had a pretty good showing today in his debut at Gibbs, so I wouldn't be surprised if he wins early in the year, though. I would not be surprised. Anyways, I'm gonna let Rain talk for about 5 minutes of what his thoughts at this point in the race. And so, take it away.
At this point of the race, we are just getting at the end of the second half, entering the third half, fixing to enter the fourth. End of the second half. Well, if we were on the radio show, Otto probably would have played John Cena's "Do Do Do" at this time because Jimmy Johnson got the lead, and I don't remember anything happening after that because I ended up falling asleep because Jimmy Johnson was up front. And no offense, I mean, I don't hate Jimmy Johnson, but when he got the lead, he led for so many laps that I just literally fell asleep. I woke up about lap 170, so I don't remember that much about the third half. I do remember the fourth half, though. I woke up around lap 170 because when Jimmy got the lead, it put me to sleep. It literally put me to sleep for a couple of minutes.
I would say that was the one part of the race that I would consider dull, but for the most part, it wasn't really that dull of a race. I felt like it was a pretty good race at this point. I was certainly enjoying it. I thought it's going to be better. I know it was going to be way better than 2013. But then again, that's my opinion. I felt like it was pretty good going in. So given that statement, I probably might be the only one who thinks so. Anyways, Joey Logano took the lead on the 145th lap, and that's when they talked about he mastered the outside lane because he was the only car that basically could run on the outside and make passes. The only one that made it through perfection. Then Martin Truex Jr.'s struggle began there. Well, so we thought. Because at that point, for all of a sudden, I noticed on the leaderboard on NASCAR.com that Martin Truex Jr., for whatever reason, he was at the back of the pack. And then he lost the lap because he did not put enough fuel. So he may have to pit again. So after 150 laps, so there were 50 laps to go, it was Joey Logano leading, Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, and Jeff Gordon. The pack was starting to happen again. The pack was starting to increase even more. I was thinking, oh boy, here we go. We may have the big one any moment. And then the question is how they're going to go in, because keep in mind, in the 2001 Pepsi 400, the big wreck happened with like 17 laps to go when they were slowing down. Or even 2005, a recent example. Everybody were failing going into the pits. It was like bad communication was the absolute last thing they needed. I do remember Gordon's communication was not that good in 2005. Anyways, Michael McDowell was the first guy to enter on pit road. He only went with right side tires, same with Casey Mears. Then Casey Kane, AJ Allmendinger entered on lap 152 along with David Gilliland, David Reagan, and Michael Waltrip. And then the front runners came along on the 153rd lap. Kevin Harvick took 4 tires. He did beat Gordon on pit road. Along with those two guys, it was Edwards, Boyer, Menard, Patrick, Ty Dillon, Almirola, Hornish, Crafton, Annette, Allgaier, Smith. Then on the 154th lap, Joey Logano made a quick pit stop, and then he decided to make a major adjustment. I thought his pit stop was really good. He had a good pit stop. Junior had a little struggle on the left side quite a bit. I did notice that. Along with him, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, Hamlin, Sauter, and McMurray pitted. Sauter went to the grass, trying to save it. Picked up a couple. He picked up a couple of dirt in the grass. Greg Biffle was the leader at this point. And this is when Kyle Larson struggled to lock it up. He had a hard time locking it up. We thought he was going to have to go back to the pits again. But he hanged it in there. He saved it. That's one thing I'll give him praise. Kyle Larson knows how to save it. When he has little nothing else to do, either wreck it or save it. Pretty much saved it once again. Biffle Stenhouse went to the pits, and then after that cycle, it was Logano, Johnson, Hamlin, Keselowski, Edwards, Harvick, Jr., Gordon, Boyer, Hornish, the top 10. Partner Menard was in 11th, but he was the last car in that lead pack. Then Johnson took the lead while getting drafted by Carl Edwards. Joey Logano lost the draft. He ended up with Hornish at the tail end of the pack. This was all happening on the 158th lap. So, after 400 miles, it was Johnson, Edwards, Hamlin, Harvick, Boyer, Biffle, Menard, Jr., Gordon, Keselowski, the top 10. Thoughts about the first 400 miles before we get to the final 100, the nitty-gritty.
The first 400 miles, pretty good, darn good racing. The end of the race is where the pacing really picked up. We'll get to that in a little bit. I was impressed with the first 400 miles. Pretty decent, good racing, especially from Gordon Jr. Johnson put me to sleep for a little bit. He got the lead. I'm sorry if I offended any Jimmy Johnson fans. Sorry if I offended you, Emerson, but when Jimmy got the lead, it kind of put me to sleep. I heard Carl got the lead for a couple of laps. You brought up AJ led a lap. Good for him. Yeah, that was my overall thoughts of the first 400 miles. Pretty decent racing, couple of problems. I feel bad. I felt bad for Castle, Stewart, Larson. Poor Larson. I mean, 2 Daytona 500s in a row where he has not had good luck at all. And that's my overall thoughts of the first 400 miles.
At this point in the race, I was thinking it's been a pretty good race. There was a little dull moment when Jimmy leads, but then again, it is Jimmy. But it wasn't that boring. I don't think it was that boring. I thought it was a pretty good race. I was enjoying it. So that's why it was going real quick. I was thinking this race is going to end before 5 p.m. Eastern time. It is going to end before 5 p.m. Eastern time. They may get lucky if they finish at 4:30, which would have been 2.5 hours of racing for the most part. And then Brad Keselowski happened. He blew the engine brought up the 4th caution. So my thoughts was like, good. Can't stand Keselowski, but then again, that's what happens at Daytona. This brought up another concern. Wait till the next couple guys that lost the engine. Keselowski is one of them. Ryan Blaney was the next one. And then this brought concern for Joey Logano, which I'll bring up in just a moment. Keselowski finished 39. J.J. Yaley, I found it surprising.
Hold up. We're at the part where Brad blew his engine.
Yep.
That part when Brad blew his engine, I just woken up from a little bit of a power nap, and I came back on and watched it, and came back around that time. And I saw Brad blow his engine. I literally went into the biggest shearing I've ever done in a long time. I'm sorry. I hate Brad Keselowski. F him. Hashtag horse face. I was so happy when he blew his engine, and I'm sorry if I offend any Brad Keselowski fans. Hey, that's my opinion, and we all have opinions here. Otto don't like Brad Keselowski. I know he don't care for Brad. You're not changing our opinions, people.
JJ Yaley finished 41st. Nobody brought it up at all during the Fox coverage. They normally would tell you who's out of the race when you least expect it. So Yaley got 41st, had little to no
Somebody,
chance at all.
somebody, somebody on Twitter just made a post on Twitter, and it's a list, and it says top three most hated drivers in NASCAR. It says number three, Kurt Busch. One, it says Kurt Busch number three for beating up his ex-girlfriend. At number two is Kyle Busch because he broke his leg, and at number one is Austin Dillon because he ruined all Gordon fans' dreams. Come on, people, please grow up.
Okay, Kamikaze, I understand you saying Mark Martin won the race. Understandable. Like a couple comments, including shout out to Jake24 Titan. Yes. Hey, we need NASCAR reviews. Nobody does NASCAR reviews that I know. Might as well start it. But yes, I will be doing note taking for the most part to give you a style because I think people need to know what happened because we obviously know certain highlights, but we need to cover the inside. I like covering the inside outs when I have the chance. So yeah, shout out to you. I'll keep up the good
Yeah,
work.
I also want to. I also want to give a. Well, I don't know if I want to, but I figure I mentioned it again if people don't know. Austin Dillon's been getting death threats and stuff on Twitter from many, many people on Twitter and Facebook. Austin Dillon's been getting death threats and stuff on Twitter because of his actions at the end of the race tonight with Gordon. I'm on Twitter right now, and I'm looking at this on Twitter. There's so many people messaging Austin Dillon, sending him death threats and hate mail. People, please grow up. Just stop. Grow up.
I will not talk about it. I refuse to talk about it because it just pisses me off considering that.
I
Anyways,
saw a tweet. I saw a tweet, and I figured I'd bring this up to you. I don't think it's real or not, but it's been retweeted a lot. Some guy said that he's still at Daytona, and a bunch of NASCAR fans are standing in front of Austin Dillon's hauler, preventing his truck from leaving the track. You know how when the haulers leave the track, well, I'm getting reports on Twitter that there's people standing in front of Austin Dillon's trailer, preventing it from leaving the track.
what the fuck is this? The Royal Rumble continuing on. Anyways, after what happened to Keselowski, I am not talking about it. I'm sorry. I'm not. Well, I don't want to talk about this bullshit. To be brutally honest. Anyways, Keselowski blew once when Keselowski was blowing the engine. There was a lot of oil that Jamie McMurray and Ryan Newman hit. McMurray hit the wall. Ryan Newman hit McMurray. As a result, both of them had damage. McMurray kind of had the worst of it because he did scrape the wall. But this is, I think, the second time that McMurray has hit the side of the wall in the backstretch. Because I need to remind you the 2004 Budweiser shootout when Jeremy Mayfield and Jamie McMurray wrecked. Mayfield ripped, the right side of Mayfield's car was ripped. Not super ripped like these days, because back in the day, if the side door is ripped, it has to be a vicious impact. These days, if you get hit on the side door, it'll rip off easily because of the carbon fiber, I would assume, and the fenders are not that dangerous or durable that will prevent serious injury. It was McMurray did hit the wall, pretty much knocked him out of any chance of the 500. I was disappointed. I was hoping he was going to have a good run. He disappointed me today in this one. I was hoping he was going to both Ganassi cars disappointed me because I was thinking, I said in the preview, those Ganassi cars could have a chance to make the chase. Both of them. Even McMurray has a chance of the chase. They've had a lot of strong runs near the end of 2014. I was thinking that the momentum will continue, but I guess we have to wait till Atlanta to see how both Ganassi cars are going to do. All right. Anyways, Dale Earnhardt Jr. did add in more fuel just in case there was going to be a green-white checker, which most likely I had a feeling it was going to happen. But then a couple guys decided to go to the pits, and I even put this on note. Jeff Gordon, of course, typical pit call, going in with none of the strats are going in as he goes for fuel. Along with Gordon, it was Patrick Kane, McDowell, Mears, Allgaier, Bain, Truex, Whit-Ty Dillon, Austin Dillon, Michael Annett, Reed Sorensen, Johnny Sauter, Matt Kraft, and Eric Almirola. And it did appear that Jeff Gordon came out at 13th, and at this point, Ryan Blaney was the highest rookie. Daytona 500 rookie, not officially, because Ryan Blaney, I'm not sure where he's being counted. I think he's counted for Xfinity. Nobody really knows. I think he is counted for Sprint Cup points at this rate. We'll see. After 164 laps, they made it official that Jeff Gordon indeed has led the most laps in the Great American Race, his final Daytona 500. I find it funny that in 1995 was his most dominant 500 when it pertains on the number of laps he led. And he finished 22nd. Anyways, they brought up this is what that kind of bothered me a little bit, because they brought up, it's like, you have one bad race at Daytona, you're done. And with the chase, you're not done. It's been done before. Tony Stewart, 2002, motherfucker. So I'm not buying into that bullshit, to be brutally honest. You have one bad race and you'll be fine. A lot of the guys who won the championship tentatively, for the most part, not have good 500. Look at Gordon in 01. He finished 30th. Then again, he was involved in the big one. Tony Stewart, 43rd, won the title. Matt Kenseth, if I recall, he was in the top 15 in the 500. Jimmy Johnson in 07, non-factor. He was wrecked before the end of the race even happened. So, you may have a bad Daytona 500, but you still could be champion, with or without the chase. Alright, before we talk about the restart rating, you got any thoughts as far as the notion that you have one bad Daytona 500 race, you're done for the season?
No, Daryl Waltrip even put out that even with this new chase format, just because you have a bad race in the Daytona 500 does not mean your season's over. Daryl Waltrip said with this new chase format, you can still make it in, and I agree with him 100%.
Even without the chase, there were still guys who had a horrible 500 that won the championship. I already mentioned Stewart and Gordon and Johnson. 02, 01, 07 respectively, because Johnson wasn't outside the top 30 if I remember. Let me look up. I think Johnson, let me see where Johnson finished in 07.
Okay, I'm looking at this right now, Otto, and this is actually pretty creepy. Take a listen to this. Joey Logano is 22 years old. His car number is 22. He won the Daytona 500 on February 22nd.
A lot of twos. He started in fourth. No, he didn't start fourth. He started fifth. Yeah, he started fifth because Junior started third. Kyle Busch was fourth before he was injured. So Johnson finished 39th in 07. In fact, you know what? Before we even talk about final racer, here's where all the eventual champions finished since 2005. All right, going back to 2005, Tony Stewart, who won the championship, finished 7th. And Tony Stewart finished 7th in 05 in the 500. Johnson won the 500, won the championship. Johnson finished 39th and won the championship. Jimmy Johnson finished 27th in 08, won the championship. 2009. Johnson finished 7th, won the championship. Okay, much better outing this time when he won the title. 2010, Johnson finished 3rd. No, he qualified 3rd. Wrong category. Let's see. Johnson finished... No, Johnson... Yeah, Johnson finished 3rd. No, that's not right. Mark Martin didn't... No, Johnson finished 35th. Damn Wikipedia with their weird graphics. Johnson finished 35th. Won the championship. Tony Stewart. Where is he? Tony Stewart. Where'd he go?
I just thought of this now, Otto.
Stewart finished 13th in 2011, won the championship.
Otto, I just thought of this now. The last 5 Daytona 500s, take a look at this trend. 2010 ended in night. 2011 ended in day. 2012 ended at night. 2013 ended in day. 2014 ended at night. 2015 ended at day. Does that mean next year is going to end at night?
That's like saying when Jeff Gordon gets into a fight, the San Francisco Giants are going to win the World Series. Anyways, 2012. 2012, Brad Keselowski won the championship, finished 32nd. 2013 Daytona 500, Jimmy Johnson won. Move on. Last year's champion, Kevin Harvick, finished 13th, won the title, so it could go either way. But it has been proven before. You can have a bad 500 and you can still win the championship. Anyways, on lap 165, Clint Bowyer pushed Kyle Edwards to the race lead. Johnson went back to 4th. Heading into the super stretch, Harvick jumped into 3rd. Jeff Gordon and Joey Logano almost made contact, and this was when Jeff Gordon went into go time mode. Where was the go time mode? Because I did not saw it in the last 35 laps at all. Jimmy and Kyle almost wrecked. Edwards lost momentum. Johnson took the lead at lap 168. It was the 140th lap that a Hendrick car led out of. Hendrick dominated the fucking race, no matter who it was. No cigar at the end. Then it was like 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. I was thinking, big one's going to happen. Somebody's going to flip. Somebody's going to hit the fence. And I thought it was going to happen when Gordon lifted off. It was like, geez, 30 laps to go. They were running. It reminded me of 2001. I was thinking, and the way they're going, they're going to be a big one on lap 173. I think that's when the big one happened in 01, 173 or 171 or even 177. I can't recall back to that. Once the difference between Jimmy Johnson and 24th place David Gilliland at the time, it was 1 second. That's how close it was. That's how tight it was. Then Junior took the lead at lap 174. Logano gave Johnson the advantage, but Junior had the momentum going into turn number 4 until Logano pushed Jimmy to retain the lead. At that point, it was the 20-second lead change. The 175th lap is where Ryan Blaney's engine expired. Ryan Blaney's engine was provided by Penske, so they are a Penske affiliate, so this brought concern for Joey Logano. So this was the third engine problem of the race, along with
I felt so bad. I felt so bad for Ryan Blaney. Here's a guy that they said, if he wins the Daytona 500, we'll give him a full-time ride, and he goes out there, tries busting his butt off to prove everyone wrong and try to get a full-time ride, and unfortunately, he didn't wreck, he did not wreck, he didn't do anything stupid, it's just his engine blew up on him. I really feel bad for the guy. This is a guy that was trying so hard to earn that full-time job, and
you know what I'm thinking? I'm not sure if this is going to happen. I'm not sure if, you know what I thought about real quick? I don't know if they're going to allow, since he drives Fords. Could he be possibly a driver in the 18 when he's not driving for the Wood Brothers or Penske? He could be, but I doubt it, since they pretty much will go with manufactured drivers. Who knows who's going to replace who in the 41 and the 18 going at Atlanta? You'll find out next week, or you'll find out next week in our review of the Atlanta race. Anyways, Johnson led. Logano second, Junior third, Bowyer fourth. This is when Bowyer starts to show off. Denny Hamlin after 176 laps. So by virtue of Blaney's engine blowing up, it denied him it denied the Wood Brothers a 6th Daytona 500 win. Because we're here are the 5 that has won for the Wood Brothers: Tiny Lund, Cale Yarborough, Trevor Bayne, and David Pearson.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
came close in 92.
You said that these would be every Sunday, but I'm sorry to tell you that I don't know if I'll be able to make every Sunday, because Markle started up this ARCA series on Sunday on NASCAR, and he said the races are going to be right after the NASCAR race on TV. So I might not be able to do every hangout with you because of Markle's ARCA series. He wants me to race ARCA for some reason.
If I get the PS3 fix, I would, but we'll do as best as we can to cover every race. That's my goal, to get every race down there. If it's by myself, that's fine. It's going to be a lot of notes, but anyways. Apparently, they mentioned that Tiny Lund won the Daytona 500, where she replaced Marvin Penske back after what happened in a Maserati test run that Marvin Penske was left in critical condition. He couldn't compete. Tiny Lund won without ever changing tires.
Can we say this real quick? Rest in peace, Tiny Lud. Even though that was over 50 years ago. Rest in peace, Tiny Lud.
Yep, he fataled in the second in the summer race at Talladega in '75. Not a good year. That was not a good. That was a dark time in Talladega in 1975 when you consider both races, because in the first one you had Richard Petty's cousin killed in a fuel pressure explosion on pit road. Let me see, who was it? Who was he related to? I know Tiny Lund fataled. I know Dick Brooks flipped over in the second race at Talladega in '75, but long time ago. Apparently, I'm not sure if I caught it right. I think they said Leonard Wood. The reason how they were able to have Tiny Lund not change any tires is that he found a way to tune it in on flat surface. I'm not sure. I'm not too clear about it, but 177 laps were completed. It was the Dillon brothers, Danica Patrick, Justin Allgaier, Sam Hornish, and David Reagan pitted when once again they went to break. In case you wonder why I'm pausing a lot, because I'm doing this without drinking water. I know I should be drinking water or some sort of drink to give some pauses, but
To everyone that's watching, we will get done in time for Fastlane, because I know a lot of people will probably like, well, we want to watch Fastlane and stuff. We'll probably get done in time.
Or those people who want to watch the Oscars featuring The Rock. Yeah. I still hate the idea they have the Oscars. Well, thank goodness the 500 ended, so I'm pretty sure the 500 is going to have good ratings this year. And by the way, WWE, fuck out of here. Fuck off with your NASCAR ripoff. You're not going to get the same ratings on Raw like you used to in 1999. I like wrestling, but I've not watched it for over a month. I'm kind of giving it a break. And am I watching Fuck Lane? I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, Matt Yokin gives a report on Joey Logano being concerned. That's the one they were bringing up how concerned he was, because he saw the engine was going to blow up at any moment, and then they pretty much Roger Penske told him there was nothing they can do, so he's going to pretty much run till it blows.
Could you imagine the look on everyone's face if Logano's engine would have blown on the final lap?
Oh, he would have still run the fucker. I think he would have still won if the engine blew up. It went like when Darrell Waltrip blew an engine immediately after he won the inaugural Winston All-Star race. So we'll see. Or they probably would have moved that away. I think Harvick would have had enough momentum that he could have won.
Harvick would have won. They got a second 500 win.
Yeah, he would have enough momentum to get by him, or I don't know. Who knows what would have happened?
I'm looking at Twitter right now, and there was a radio call, and I listened to it when they dropped the red flag to go back under caution on the green white checkers. Logano was caught on the radio saying, start, please start. And then when it finally started, he said, yes, thank you. There's supposedly a radio call of him saying that. He kept trying to tell his car to start. Go.
Oh, could have had a Dale Jr. 2003 Daytona 500 moment right there. Because you remember, here's what happened in 03 for those who don't know. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was one of the stronger cars in 2003. He was super strong. Everybody thought he was going to sweep the whole speed weeks because he won the Busch Series race. He won the 125s. He won the Bud Shootout from the rear of the field via draw. By the way, Jeff Bodine was the pole sitter of that race via the draw in the number 11.
He won the Nationwide Series back then.
Yep, temporary teammate. Harvick was his temporary teammate. I'm not sure how that worked. Fun fact, Brian Vickers wrecked in that race, and the big one won the championship in 03. Fun fact, Jimmy Vasser, the kart champion back in the day in the Ganassi Glory days, of cards was in that race. For those who don't know. See, this is what I like doing. I like bringing random mass facts that nobody pretty much cares, but relevant to the track or the event. But 19 to go. The average, here's what Larry Reynolds mentioned, the last 10 laps, the last 10 Daytona 500s, that the average caution lap was 194. Except for 2009, because the 2009 race was rain shortened, where Kenseth won and Elliott Sadler almost would have won the 500. Imagine if Elliott Sadler almost won that 500. Imagine that. Anyways, the race restarted with 19 laps to go. Junior got loose, made a little contact with Denny Hamlin, lost the lead draft a little bit. He was not getting any help, so he went back to 15. Bowyer gets sideways at the freaking trial and is trying to get his first win since the fall race of Charlotte 2012. So he has not won in a real long-ass time. That should be noted, by the way. Charlotte 2012 was his last win. Hamlin took the lead going into turn number 1 on the 180 and lap 186. Then Truex took the lead from him going into turn number 2 with a little help from Gordon. And then they went 3 wide between Hamlin, Johnson, Truex. Truex found a way at the trial by about half a car length to take the lead. It was 3 wide, 4 rows, and somehow they were still surviving with 12 laps to go. Denny Hamlin led the 188 laps on the top 3 with 10 laps to go. It was Johnson, Hamlin, Logano. Therefore, Johnson took the lead back. Bowyer bumped into Logano going into turn number 3, but Johnson and Hamlin were still battling, but Logano hang on. Logano cleared the pack with 9 laps to go for the final lead change of the race. If I recall, that is the case. Then Bowyer made contact with Gordon. It's like, Bowyer, if you fucking wreck Gordon, if you find a way to fuck Gordon over, I swear I would have blown a gasket. He was fucking everybody around.
When Bowyer hit Gordon, I was saying to myself, if Bowyer wrecks Gordon here, Otto's going to literally explode.
However, I will give him this. Unlike Brad Keselowski 6 laps down, he didn't fuck the whole field. He saved it. So good ride, good running from Bowyer, good saving. I think he's finally learning his lesson a little bit. And no, I'm not going to watch that viral video that he made on Instagram or Vine or whatever that is. Whatever that video is. No, don't get me to watch it. I only watched 2 seconds like, oh, okay.
It's him making weird faces.
Yeah, I know. I just do not know. I just don't know what it's called. I'm Mr. Old School, for crying out loud. I did not know what MCE meant till I asked. For those who don't know what MCE means, it means man crush every day or something like that. So how the fuck would I know? To me, WCW is World Championship Wrestling. Not Women's Crush Wednesday. I do have Women's Crush Wednesday every now and then. I just don't brag about it. Anyways, with 6 laps to go, it was Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. The highest rookie at this point in the race was Ty Dillon in 17th, Matt Craft in 22nd. Ryan Blaney was 39th out of the race by this point. Logano, same top 3. However, I did cut the top 5. It was Bowyer. No. Johnson 4th. Casey Kane 5th with 5 to go. The pack at this point was calming down. It was a lot more calmer. Then Casey Kane almost wrecked Truex, but they somehow, some way, I was thinking, if they run like this and somehow survive, this could be the best Daytona 500 finish ever. It was becoming one of the best 500 races of all time, as far as the ones that I've seen. I thought it was a good 500 at this point. It was a really good 500. I was certainly enjoying it. I was nervous, worried that we're going to have a horrific wreck again. Because it seems like every year, except last year's Xfinity race, we always have a bad wreck at some point during speed weeks. Then I noticed nobody caught this, but I did. I noticed at the back I was like somebody smoking. I was thinking Justin Allgaier has blown an engine or having a tire rub. And then the caution came up with 3 laps to go. He wrecked, and just like Talladega, he left a big chunk of debris on the tri-oval. So I knew it was going to be a green-white checker. It's the 6th caution of the day. Ty Dillon hit the wall for what they mentioned. Ty Dillon hit the wall or had some. He had right front damage so much that the right front was completely shredded. However, Fox did not show us how did Dillon got wrecked, how did he got the damage, and what happened. Eric Almirola, nice save. He made it through without problems. After 197 laps, it was Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, Clint Moore. I saw myself. Fuck 3 out of the 5 drivers in that top. I say I was all for Truex and Hamlin. Fuck it. I said Hamlin must win this race or Truex. Either one. I'm content with those two. Not the 22, not the 48, especially the 15. However, I do agree what he said in qualifying. I just do not like the qualifying system they did. I talked about it in the Cup preview. And by the way, for the Cup preview, watch part 1, please. There's some big names on that one. Because I went through the first part. I went from J.B. McMurray to Casey Mears. Denny Hamlin. So please sure to watch both parts, but then again, the season's already started. So we pretty much went 16 green flag, white knuckle, nerve-wracking 3-wide racing. Never seen. I was amazed they did not wreck for that long of green flag runs. I was thinking the closest thing would have to be the 2001 Talladega 500 when the race was caution-free. They were running like 4 wide for the last 10 laps when Bobby Hamilton got his final career Winston Cup win. So, Fox mentioned the 5-hour energy, big move of the race. Joey Logano's pass on the 191st lap, and then they were slowing down. I was like, fuck! The red flag is out. 197. So I knew in my mind it was not going to end at 5 o'clock Eastern time. The race stopped at about 3 hours, 1 minute, and 37 seconds into the race at around 4:35 Daytona timing. So, before I let you talk for about 5 to 10 minutes of your thoughts before we talk about the green-white checker, here was the running order after the red flag. Logano was leading Hamlin, Johnson, Truex, Boyer, the top 5. Kane, Jr., Gordon, Mears, Edwards, Dillon, Austin Dillon.
I don't exactly remember where I was at when the red flag came out. All I remember was Allgaier wrecking and hitting the wall. Then I went to go take me a bathroom break, and by the time I got back, the caution came back out and the cars were rolling again. So I don't exactly know what happened under the red flag.
No, usually nothing.
My friend Kyle on Facebook messaged me saying Gordon was going to jump the restart and get the 24 all the way up to the front. I had to laugh and say the only way Gordon was going to get up to the front would be a miracle, which unfortunately that didn't happen.
Gordon wasn't.
Personally, I thought it was going to come down to the 11. I thought Denny Hamlin was going to win the 500. Personally,
I wanted Hamlin or Truex to fuck 3 out of the top 5 drivers in that. Anyways, back to the running order. Carl Edwards was in 11th. Tied Austin Dillon 12th. Biffle 13th. Stenhouse 14th. Daniel Gilliland 15th. Larson 16th. Menard 17th. Crafton 18th. Bain 19th. 20th. Johnny Sauter. Here are the rest of the field, respectively. Allmendinger, Hornish, Annette, Sorensen, Almirola, Smith, Witt, Reagan, Patrick, McDowell, McMurray, Vickers, Labonte. Not talked about it. I had not mentioned Bobby Labonte in quite a while. Ty Dillon was the last car on the lead lap. Then you had a couple guys that lapped out or about to be out of the race. You had Allgaier, Kenseth, Mike Wallace, Ryan Newman, and the cars that were out of the race at this point, including Allgaier, Blaney, Keselowski, Yaley, Stewart, Castle. There were 27 lead changes among 12 drivers. And I said, if Gordon survives, I'll take where he finished as long as those 3 fuckers of Boyer, Logano, and Johnson don't win. At this point, there were 21 pit road penalties. So yes, pit stop penalties were crucial. But then again, it is Daytona. If it was like in Indianapolis or Pocono, you're screwed. 4 minutes and 41 minutes of coverage has already been completed based on the little timetable when Andy Petrie was talking about the pit road penalties being a factor, and he saw there was going to be a lot more. Considering there's 21, that might be not bad. We'll see what happens going into Atlanta and other racetracks. So the red flag lasted about 7 minutes. 190 laps has been completed. Then Fox recapped the 2005 Daytona 500, which was the first green-white checkered edition of the Great American Race, where, if I remember correctly, Casey Kane had a flat tire, hit the wall when he was driving for Ray Abraham in his sophomore year. That brought out the caution. That eventually led to Jeff Gordon's final Daytona 500 win. He's tied with Dale Jarrett and Bobby Allison still with 3 Daytona 500s. He'll stay that way. And at this point, I was like, this is it. This is it for Gordon. He's got to win the 500. 500 win or bust at this point. All right, 32 cars were on the lead lap. Before we talk about the green-white checker finish, any thoughts on what you saw going into the green-white checkered?
No, not at all.
All right, so lap 201, the great white checker came out. Kevin Harvick tried to get away from Clint Bowyer, but Logano Bowyer was just that strong going into the restart. Junior tried to help. As they came to the white flag, there was a lot of tight racing. That's what happened when we have double file restart. It seems like everything was going to happen. Then the white flag came out. It was Logano leading. Logano was hanging on going into turn number 1. Then there was contact. There was a big wreck at the back. I was thinking, oh boy, Talladega. 2001 EA Sports 500, the wrecking in the backstretch. There was a couple of cars involved. I thought it was the big one. Except that nobody flipped over. And then I saw Kyle Larson was spinning around. I have no idea what happened. I'm not sure if he hit the wall hard like Danica Patrick, Greg Biffle, or he saved it. I don't think he did. We'll never know how bad the wreck was for Kyle Larson. I think he made it through just fine. So they were going into turn number 3. Turn number 3 was like, they're going to stay green. They're going to stay green. They're going to stay green. And then the caution came out for the 7th and final time. I was like, fuck. Logano won the Daytona 500 in his 220th start.
NASCAR. Good job calling the caution in the final turn. Didn't do that in 2007.
I was like, fuck. Not because of the finish, not when I found out who were in the wreck. It was Logano.
Logano had the win anyway. I don't think Harvick would have caught up to him in time. Had the caution not came out, Logano probably still would have won.
Then why people still complaining then that the caution came out if Harvick may not had a chance of catching Logano? He would have, but who knows? But his prior best finish, Logano was 9th. It was Penske's 2nd Daytona 500 win. Of course, Ryan Newman did it in 2008, and a Penske 1-2 finish. I just can't fucking stand the Penske guys, except for Ryan Blaney and the IndyCar boys. Except out of the two, I prefer Logano. I'll give him that. So here were the final 7. Those were the top 7 that I got. It was.
I don't really care for both of them because if you look at it, Brad hated it because of what he did to Gordon at Texas, the race that you don't want to think about, and Logano's hate it for what he did to Hamlin at Auto Club. I'm pretty sure you know which Auto Club I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Logano and Hamlin.
Yours used to say. Yes, Joey Logano gets an honorary John Cena intro. So, yes, Logano won. It's his 6th. I think this is his. He won 5 last year. Now he won already. Harvick 2nd, Junior 3rd, Hamlin 4th, Johnson 5th, Mir 6th, Bowyer 7th. I was like, fuck. And then Mike Short brings up that Jeff Gordon wreck. I was like, great. Then I saw the replay. Austin Dillon clipped Gordon. Great. I got nothing else to say. At least Gordon doesn't have significant damage.
Austin Dillon's getting death threats on Twitter.
Bad way to start 2015. Bad way to start. I know, once again, the dominant card, no cigar, shitty outcome that doesn't show how well he did.
Are you sure? Are you sure you have nothing to say about what's going on with Austin Dillon?
He clipped Gordon. It's just tight racing, just bad timing. Here were the guys that were involved that I collected and pretty much confirmed: Trevor Bayne, Ricky Stenhouse, Matt Crafton, Paul Menard, that should be Regan Smith, not Tony Stewart. Why did I put the fourth? I think I was typing too quick. Allmendinger, Sorensen, Larson, Patrick were involved. So yes, I put it was a shitty way to end yet another dominant race without a payoff. Regan Smith finished 16th, Matt Crafton 19th. The race was 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 54 seconds, 27 lead changes among 12 drivers. Joey Logano led 31 out of 203 laps. So at that point, I was thinking, is this Jeff Gordon's first DNF in a real long time? Given that we've been doing this for almost 2 hours, I'm going to look up, let me see what they confirm on Gordon. I'll never know if he actually finished the race. I think he might.
Well, I'm going to give my final thoughts here, and then I'm going to be leaving, because I got to give my laptop a little bit of rest before, later tonight. So, if you want to, you can end the review in a little bit. I'll be leaving in a couple of seconds. Congrats, Joey Logano. I mean, I'm not the biggest Logano fan, but better than Brad. Felt bad for Gordon, and to all the people sending death threats to Austin Dillon on Twitter, please stop. It's just a NASCAR race. Get over it. I mean, sure. I mean, you could say the same thing to both me and Otto about you probably say the same thing to me and Otto. Well, why don't y'all get over Texas? Because that's a different story.
I want to get over that piece of shit race. Anyways, according to Racing Reference, it shows Kyle Larson as the only DNF driver of the whole wreck, so it does look like Gordon made it through. I have no idea how bad the wreck was. I'll never know. Fox didn't show it. Anyways,
Alright.
Any last thoughts about the Austin Dillon thing, if you want to say anything else?
If it turns out to be true, from what I'm hearing, that people are standing in front of his hauler preventing him from bleeding.
Aside from that,
you know what I would do? Besides that, it was just a racing incident. Austin Dillon in third spot. I saw him up in third early in the race, and I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I was not expecting him to be up there. And then, of course, the incident with Gordon. I kind of feel bad for him a little bit. I mean, I'm not the biggest Austin Dillon fan in the world. Still think he doesn't deserve to have the 3. I only race this number in my league because of the paint schemes. That's it. If it wasn't for that, I would not race Austin Dillon at all. I'd probably race Kyle Larson. But congrats, Joey Logano, and that's all I have to say about that.
All right. So it does look like it will not be Jeff Gordon's first DNF since 2013. He has none in 2014, so that streak is still going. As far as the highest finishing Daytona 500 rookie, it is Matt Crafton in 19th. Not bad. I'll give him props for Matt Crafton. He did a pretty good job in his debut. If he does run Cup races down the road, we'll see how he can do. If he does pretty good, I'll be surprised. And
I'm gonna call it a night.
all right.
I'm gonna call it a night here. If you want to, you can you can end the review. I'm gonna call it a night.
All right. I'm still gonna continue. There's still a couple more things I need to say, but rating, final rating before you go, or not final rating. Anyways, Ty Dillon finished 28th, Ryan Blaney 29th, Logano saying Clint Boyer. If you're wondering, am I pissed off about it? No, I'm not really that. I was just upset that Logano won because I can't stand the Penske boys. Gordon was somewhat calm, content, humble, praised Logano's run, especially how the father-son bonding. So he did mention in the interview with Jamie Leto, he will not miss the final laps. He would have loved to win, finish 33rd, continuing his poor finishes on the plate tracks. He's just not had good plate finishes. All right, before I give you the final results and my final thoughts, here are the shout-outs. I'm going to give a shout-out to Casey Mears with a good run. Really strong run by Truex. I just hope this is the beginning of Martin Truex Jr.'s comeback year. I really hope he does well. I was so disappointed last year that he was nowhere near. In fact, he only had 1 lap all year in 2013. Led 30 in the Sprint Unlimited, so he had a really good speed weeks. Matt Crafton, I kind of already gave him my thoughts. Greg Biffle, I'll give him a shout out. He hanged in there. Not that bad. Clint Boyer somehow made it through without fucking somebody over, so that's good. Disappointments, Jeff Gordon second half. Tony Stewart nowhere near a factor, even though he was running in the top 10. Paul Menard, nothing impressed me too much from him. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he failed. He failed me again. Nothing else to say. Regan Smith, I wish he could have done better. Here are the what the fucks. Cole Witt, the fact that he finished ahead of Gordon, I'm pissed off. Austin Dillon, for that little bump. Well, we're smart of Racy. Johnny Sauter, why did I give him that award? I was hoping better outcome from him, I guess. Kyle Larson, another poor speed weeks. Dale Jr., just ever since he lost the lead, he was nowhere near a factor. Fails, not acknowledging J.J. Yaley. And the lack of replays of the wreck, including Kyle Larson, I have no idea what happened. I'll never know what happened to Kyle Larson. Maybe he's probably roaming around Twitter of his wrecked race car or something. Anyways, here are the final results of the Daytona 500. Joey Logano led 31 laps of this race. Kevin Harvick finished in second, led no laps. Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishes in third, led 32 laps. Okay, yes, he had a good run, but I was like, damn, Jr. should have been in a factor at the end. Hamlin finished fourth. He led 4 laps. Jimmy Johnson finished fifth, 39 laps led. Casey Mears led a lap, 6. Clint Boyer, somehow he did not let a single lap. He finishes in 7. Mark Truex Jr. led a lap, equaling last year's with 1. 8th place run. Casey Kane, 9th. Greg Biffle, 10. He led 2 laps. David Gilliland, 11th. Sam Horns Jr. in his comeback finishes in 12th. Yes, he finished 17th last year in Fontana, replacing an injured Denny Hamlin, but his first full season, pretty good run. Michael Annett led a lap, 13th. Austin Dillon, 14th. Eric Almirola, 15th. Regan Smith, 16th. David Reagan, 17th. Matt Crafton, 18th. Johnny Sauter, 19th. Right, out of the guys that are not eligible for points here, before we continue on, Regan Smith, Matt Crafton, Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon, Ryan Blaney, J.J. Yaley, Landon Castle are not eligible for points. So they have 0. So in this case, I'm going to have to add up the math when we get there, but I really do not have much time to do it. Anyways, back to the finish. Matt Crafton 18th, Johnny Sauter 19th, A.J. Allmendinger, I mentioned earlier, he led a lap, finishes in 20th. Danica Patrick, 21st, nothing to say at all. Little no showing at all. Cole Witt, 22nd, that pisses me off. Carl Edwards led 3 laps, 23rd, was out of it at that point. Bobby Labonte, 24th, Paul Menard, 25th, Michael Walsh, 26th, Jimmy McMurray, 27th. Yes, I was disappointed, nowhere near a factor. They need to turn it around at Atlanta. Ty Dillon, 28th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 29th. Trevor Bayne, 30th. Michael McDowell, 31st. Reese Sorensen, 32nd. Jeff Gordon, 33rd. Led 87 laps. Kyle Larson, 34th. Matt Kenseth, 35th. Mike Wallace, 36th. 4 laps down. 37th. Justin Allgaier. 38th. Ryan Newman. 39th. Ryan Blaney. J.J. Yaley somehow led a lap and finishes at 40th with it. And he did finish the race. He finished 40th. Okay. Brad Keselowski, 41st with an engine, 42nd, Tony Stewart, 43rd, Landon Castle. Those are your final results. There were 7 cautions for 26 laps. Average speed, 161.939. The official time, it is 3 hours, 8 minutes, and 2 seconds. 300 laps completed. Final thoughts. Fucking hated the outcome, but it was a really good race for the most part. It wasn't dull. I actually enjoyed it. Was it better than last year's? I may say it could be. I know 2013 was way better than 2013. So my final overall rating for the Daytona 500 would be an 8.25. I thought it was good. People are going to shit on it because of who won and what happened. But that's just kind of myself. I enjoyed this 500. Really do. So I'm going to end it here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Daytona 500 review. If you have, hopefully we'll do in Atlanta and many more races. So until we meet again, All I gotta say, Joey Logano won the Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon once again, nothing to show for. And the last ride begins kind of in a whimper. However, I'm glad he did really good, no matter what. Good overall speed weeks. I hope Kyle Busch recovers. I hope this Kurt Busch situation mess is done. Also, till we meet again, this has been the 2015 Daytona 500 review. Well, I guess it did not stop, so I apologize. I gotta go eat. This is officially over. It's been over for 5 minutes. Let's end it. Fuck!